welcome. Ryan here from Fiscal, and today I'm going to take you through setting up supply rules and what the different settings are for those. So for us to get there, we're going to go to Settings, Reference Books, then we'll scroll down to Stock, Locations, and Bins, and you'll see that we have a few locations set up. So I'm going to set up a supply rule for a main warehouse. And you'll see that we have supply rules as on our left-hand panel. To create a new one, select the plus icon. You can give it a name. So we'll call it supply main warehouse. Okay. So when we're looking at our supply rules, we can select it for all products or for specific products. So if we have different ways that we can supply our demand for different products that we offer, we'll then select specific products for it. However, if everything in your production or in your inventory cycle runs in the same fashion, then all products is fine to use here. So when we look at the in response to demand plan action sets that we have available, we can keep adding and keep adding and keep adding quite a few supply rules. However, it can get quite a lot. And what we're going to do is keep this quite simple. I'm just going to explain what each of these do. So there's essentially three types of ways, or three ways that we can supply the demand, right? There is a transfer, so transferring from one location to another location. Let's say that we have a warehouse, another warehouse that we store product at, and we have demand at our sales warehouse, then we can use that as a transfer supply rule. The second option is that we can purchase product for our warehouse. So if we have demand at our warehouse for a product and we actually buy that product from a supplier, then we'll use the purchase action or purchase supply action in the drop downs. And then we have something called produce, which is going to be using our bill of materials, either an assembly bill of material or a production bill of material. So when we look at produce, it'll only affect any products or SKUs with a BOM attached to it. So to keep things simple, we'll select purchase. And you can see that we only have one variable thereafter, which is from a supplier. Now we get to choose if it's going to be the supplier with the lowest price, the supplier with the lowest lead time, or the last supplier that we used, right? If we look at our transfers, this one gets a little bit more complicated. Then we transfer from a specific location. So if I say I'm going to transfer from my DO lab location, essentially this is going to put the supply from that location, right? So the demand is in my A main warehouse and it's going to be supplied from DO lab location. And it's going to take stock quantity, all available, means that if I have 100 units only in my in my location for DO lab location, and my demand is 100 units, it's going to take all 100 units, regardless of a minimum before reorder point or a safety stock or anything like that. Whatever is available, it will take. Then the next step is until minimum before reorder points. So if I have 500 units at my DO lab location and my demand is, and my minimum before reorder point is 100 units, then I can only take 400 units, okay? Then the next one is stock level. And your stock level is essentially your minimum before reorder point plus your reorder quantity. So these are the different sets that we can choose, and it depending on how you function, we'll select one of these, right? Then we can go on and say to fulfill how much. right? So do we fulfill the entire quantity that is demanded, or do we fulfill up to a partial demand quantity? So if I have 500 units and my minimum before reorder point is 100 units, and I require 450 units, meaning that there's a 50 units above what I'm allowed to take from this location. If I select total demand quantity only, then it's going to move over to the next supply order, or the next supply rule, because it cannot fulfill the full amount of the demand. However, if we select partial demand quantity, it will take up to 400 units and then go on to the next supply rule, which will then, maybe be a purchase or a produce, or maybe another transfer from a different secondary location. So these are the options that we have available to us in our supply planning or our supply rules